Trenton Journal is for people who won't take no for an answer. Trenton Journal is for community leaders. Trenton Journal is for people who won't settle. Trenton Journal highlights some of the positive voices in the community and fills in the information gaps through original reporting.
Welcome to Capital Conversations. I'm your host, Kenneth Miles, founder and publisher of the Trenton Journal. Each episode we bring you change makers, people who are doing their things in the capital city, and today I have with me the Hagoods, Gloria and Darren. And thank you for joining us.
Our pleasure.
All right. For those who may not be familiar with who you are, just want to give the viewers a little bit of background about the type of work that you do in the name of your company.
Mm-hmm.
Our company is called Heal Your Love, period. We provide breath work, sound healing, guided meditations, prioritizing and emphasizing the Black experience. And so we center our work inside of collective healing. We have folks coming together, lead them through a process of deep breathing while there is some form of sound therapy that's going on that Gloria facilitates. And then we end in a time of meditation. We do this, we started in the middle of the pandemic and things that were going on, all the high stress and everything that people are experiencing, the challenges with mental health. First in our own lives, that's what got us connected to it. But then we started hosting these circles for our community to be able to come together, release stress, anxiety, trauma from the body in a holistic and natural way. So the breathing does that, the sound healing does that, as well as meditation. There's so much research behind how these natural methods help the body to reset the nervous system, heal and restore. And so we said, well, why don't we just do this as a collective, do it together, since it's not as common in our community as we anticipate it will be, but it's currently not yet.
So when was your first event?
First one in Long Beach, California.
It was in Long Beach, California. When was it? What was it?
2023?
It had to be 2023.
I think it was around April. So it was, 2 years ago. It was the first time we did it as a group. And
so why Trenton? And how did you come to Trenton?
So I grew up in the Trenton, Ewing area. And so when we moved this way, the city is so rich with history, but it's so rich with our community too. And so it felt natural for us to have this as our base, because again, this is where I grew up, this is where I'm from, but also with the history, also with the community. And so it just felt natural for us to, I guess, put our roots in the Trenton soil and continue our work here. But again, this is one of the many places that we do our work, or not even do the work, we create spaces. That's what we do. The folks who come into our spaces, they're the ones doing the work. We're facilitating though.
Yeah. And what does your clientele look like? Are they mostly women, older, younger?
Yeah.
So they're mostly women, middle-aged women between the age of 45 and 60, I would say. So I would say that's our demographic. Majority Black women in their middle-aged.
Yeah, it's occasionally some Puerto Rican sisters,
Latino sisters show up.
And then we started in Philly a Black men's healing circle. So that started a couple months ago, and that's just where the brothers all come out. Similar age demographic, but maybe a little bit, mid-30s onto the late 50s. But it's just all brothers coming together. We're excited about bringing that to Trenton as well here soon. But yeah, mostly folks from different areas of the Black community. So African Americans, but sometimes we got, Haitian sisters in there, and like we said, people from different backgrounds. Sometimes my white brothers and sisters be in there on occasion as well, but our primary demographic has been the African American community.
Now, was this a conscious decision to have a separate space for men?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was it?
For sure. I mean, so our spaces, our circles, we reach out to all folks, not just women, but the tendency has been women just showing up.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get one brother here or there showing up, and they'll feel kind of awkward, like, oh, am I invading, a woman's space? But no, you are welcome to be here. And so we noticed that as a trend, and we're like, why are the brothers not showing up for this healing, for this communal gathering to just bring about some balance in life? And I mean, you had some thoughts on that, because as a woman, there's only so much that I understand. I don't walk in your shoes. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to say more about that.
The way this even started as a concept, we were struggling with our own mental health out in LA, and I got introduced to breathwork. Gloria got into the sound. But during that season, after I was learning how to facilitate breathwork sessions, it was a group, they're called Walk Good LA, and they invited me to lead a breathwork session called You Good, and it was just for the brothers. And so I came to the session, and it was a room filled of just Black brothers doing yoga, and they wanted me to facilitate the breathwork part. And that was the first time I ever saw anything of that capacity before.
How many brothers were there?
The room was, maybe 50 brothers in there. Yeah, and that was all that could fit in there, right? And so to see that on like a Saturday morning, brothers just coming out, and then you do the breathing, but it was mostly yoga, and then they would turn in circles and just start sharing what's going on in their lives, right? They would journal for a little bit, they have some prompts, and then do that. And so that's when I was like, oh, this is something that our community is into. And so when we came here, after we had fine-tuned our organization with the breath and the sound, we were anticipating a similar thing, but then it was just sisters showing up. And part of that, from my understanding, is just the brothers feel a lot safer when it's just the brothers able to come together. It goes into all the things about masculinity, and crying in front of women or crying in front of anybody takes away from your manhood. And so when you can come into a space and it's all brothers, and you seeing this brother share stuff about what it means to be a father, or a single father, or things about struggles in their relationship, and he's crying and in tears, and it creates a whole safe space to say, okay, we can process this together, to release this stuff that goes on in the back of our minds, but often isn't talked about. And so the session we've been having with the brother, they'll go through it, and they'll actually stay in there longer than the sisters. Like that.
Oh, really?
They linger. Okay, they do not want to leave. We have to kick them out. We have to kick them out. Like, all right, y'all, it's time to go. Yeah, but it's beautiful.
It's wonderful.
It's truly beautiful. Yeah.
Now, you both have an interesting story. This is not like something that you've been doing all your lives, right? Mm-hmm. Before you got into this, what did you do as a living?
That's a great question. So we both have our degrees in ministry or theology, and by that I mean like the Christian tradition. So I have my master's of divinity, so does Darren, and with that I went into chaplaincy. So I provided emotional and spiritual support to patients in the hospital, not only patients, the staff, and family members of patients. And that was a very meaningful work for me, very life-giving work, but it also very draining work. I actually started working in the hospital during the height of COVID, or the pandemic, and so I witnessed a lot of transitions, walking alongside families during a lot of deaths, but I think COVID made it so much worse because families were not able to actually connect with their loved ones as they were transitioning, because during that season of life, or that season in our history, collective world history now, which is crazy to say, folks weren't able to come see each other. We weren't, because of the fear surrounding COVID. So families, people were dying without any loved ones next to them. And so it was challenging to provide care and support. We had to be very creative in connecting families with loved ones, even though they couldn't physically be there. But anyway, so that's where, in the hospital, is where I fell in love with sound healing, because we had music therapists in the hospital who would go around not only to the patients, but also to the different units within the hospital and just play singing bowls, play the guitar, and I could literally see the whole energy in the space. Wherever they went, it would change drastically. They were able to provide a level of support that me as a chaplain, I wasn't able to tap into. And I said, this is powerful. They're able to do this simply off of sound. And so I started using this for myself because, again, it was a stressful job. I was carrying a lot of grief and death, and it was healing me. It was providing me an opportunity to release all that I was carrying. And so that's what got me into sound healing. But it was through being a chaplain in a hospital.
Yeah. And I grew up, both my parents are ministers, and so I grew up as a pastor's kid, or a PK, they would say, and Mom had us waking up to early morning devotions in the Bible. I went to church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, Wednesday night Bible service, all these different things. And so for a very long time, that was all that my life was built around. And I just became really passionate about spirituality and Christian spirituality, specifically at that time. And so after we went through undergrad together, got this master's degree, my mentor had told me about a church out in Long Beach that was looking for a pastor as I was job searching into different things. And at the time, we were graduating, going to move back home to LA and just be with my family. I was making music at the time, a hip hop artist. And so I was just thinking I was just going to work at Starbucks and do this music thing, because I wasn't too big on being a minister, even though I was trained in that. I mostly got the training just because I loved it, not because I was hoping to work in it. But this church was looking for someone, so I started working there. And for about 4 years, I find myself as the lead minister of this predominantly white congregation in Long Beach, California. And we're doing it together. And it was one of the most challenging seasons of my life, because this is right when all the politics is getting crazy. And it's, I start 2 years before the murder of George Floyd. And so it was already tense politically, but that just escalated everything. And the pandemic just blew the top off of everything. And so I still remember I'm in this church where the first day that I'm hired, a good portion of the church leaves. because racial dynamics that are going on. And then when the stuff with George Floyd happens, it just turns into this racial battleground. And for me, I felt incredibly unsafe and started feeling deep challenges to my mental health after all of those things that were going on. And so I was just looking for a way to stabilize my mind. After watching the George Floyd video, it felt like something in me had broken, and it was hard to piece it back together. And I was in a congregation that was not understanding what the Black experience was, or was antagonistic to it. And so in the middle of all that, my mom had told me about this breathwork thing. And so I stumbled upon a video of this guy named Wim Hof online. And this white dude in shorts climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And he's able to do it in the middle of the winter time because he's able to control his breath. And he had gone through like suicide, ideation, depression. And he's talking about how this has transformed his life and brought him back into a state of love and happiness. And, you know, I'm not looking to be in shorts in ice at all in any capacity. But I was like, if he can do that with breathing, like, let me just try this for what I'm going through. And after having months where I couldn't even sleep at night because everything that was going on, I did this short video, and I couldn't even remember the end of the video because I just fell straight asleep and had the most peaceful night of rest that I had in a long time. And it was right at that moment when I was like, this is something to this. Start sharing it with Gloria. She's telling me about what's going on at the hospital. And so we start asking different questions, not only about our mental health, but what does this mean in terms of spirituality? What does this mean in terms of where we're being called to go? If this could be so beneficial for us, and it's doing some of the things that we felt like we weren't even able to experience in the spiritual context we were in, then how might this be expanding us or calling us to some deeper grounds? And so that's all we got here.
Yeah. How'd you come up with the name Heal Your Love? Period.
That's a great question. Essentially because that's what we truly believe we are called or here on this plane of existence to do. We're simply here to tap into our true selves and connect authentically, and truthfully connect deeper with the self. And when we do that, when we heal the love within, everything else will truly fall into place. I witnessed that. I am witnessing that within my own life. And I feel like that is such a powerful truth, especially for our community to truly tap into, because what I witnessed and what I experienced during the height of the pandemic and George Floyd and all of that, our community was fighting so hard, giving of ourselves so much. I was doing the same thing. And we're doing it from a place of, we haven't spent the time and done the work of going within to heal the trauma and the pain that's been resting within us from our own life, but then from our own ancestors' lives. Exactly. Yeah. It's deeply rooted. And so how can we continue, we're continuing to fight when we're already depleted. Imagine what life would look like for us, for individually, but collectively as a community, if we truly spent the time to go within and heal your love, period. And then from that place of healing, from that place of unconditional love and unconditional knowing, we can, whoever we touch, whatever communities we come in contact with, all they're gonna experience is that unconditional love and that confidence and that truth that we are deserving of that love. And there's nothing that you could do America, systems, any system of operation, there's nothing that they can do to take that innate and divine truth away from us.
Yeah.
But we have to actually do the work of doing that, of going within. I have to do that work.
And what's greater than hate?
Love, of course. Is that what King said?
Okay, way greater. Once we tap into that, and they know that, I truly believe they know that to be true. Yeah. That's why they give us so many opportunities to divert our attention, divert our gaze from that truth.
Yeah. And I, speaking from like a ministry background, the thing that was, the way that Heal Your Love resonated with me is I remember sitting with the leaders at my church and we're talking together, and I was telling them that I was becoming uncomfortable with preaching to the congregation. And for those who don't know the process, at least the process in my denomination or church background, you have a Bible or a holy book, and you have your studies and scholarly materials and your time in prayer and all these different things. You have these texts, and the preacher feels like they have some type of responsibility to share a word from the divine, to the people. And so for me, it became uncomfortable because on one end, I can only speak to what God is telling me for my life, my purpose, is what I was beginning to feel like. I can't speak into what that means for you. And it was starting to feel like a violation to tell somebody else what God wanted them to be doing. And then the other piece, and this may be unique to me, but I think it spreads beyond myself, is I had and still have trauma that I'm healing from. It's when I'm reading the Bible, I'm reading spiritual texts, that trauma is behind my lens of how I'm reading things. And I might be reacting to something on the news, reacting to something from my past, and interpreting that as a message from God that I'm now putting my trauma onto the community and saying that it's filling it with some type of spiritual power. And it became uncomfortable because it was this space of, okay, if I don't do the inner work for myself, if I don't heal my love, my understanding, not just understanding, but this connection with myself, if I don't do that inner work, then I am not a clean vessel to be able to do any work with anybody else. But two, it might be more important, from my perception, for everybody to do this type of work on their own. And what if we just held space for people to be able to do that? And so if everybody can do that themselves, they could receive the message that they need rather than a message that I think that they need. And so Heal Your Love started to form into this place that was similar to Gloria's work as a chaplain, right? That she was teaching me about her work that she was doing in the hospital, and it became about, what if we can hold space for people to hear their higher self or their higher power, right? We're not telling you how you need to live your life. We're not here to give you any advice. We just want to clear the space. And if breathing can do that, if sound can do that, if stretching and all these other elements can help to clear the space for you to hear clearly from the higher power or divine or whatever in your life journey that means to you, then we want to hold that space so you can get clear on your next steps and receive the healing that you need to be the best version of yourself. And so Heal Your Love period became that. That was a foundation of, if we can just hold the space for that, everybody will get their own message.
For each of you, what does being healed look like?
That's a great question. For me, being healed means being unapologetically Gloria Hagood, being my authentic self. But more than that, it's life is going to happen, always. Am I not confident, but am I grounded enough in my identity of unconditional love, of unique but yet collective importance in this existence? Am I grounded enough in that truth that whatever comes my way, whatever life circumstances, whatever is going on around me in the world, am I able to face that confidently, trusting that whatever is on the other side, I'm able to handle? That's what it means for me, Gloria, to be healed. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would say something similar. That, whether it's, this interview right now, right, that in the past I could have so much nervousness around this experience. We're about to be sitting with Kenneth at Trenton Journal with the cameras and the lights, and you feel like a lot, feel big, and it is. And beforehand, I didn't have the resources to say, okay, well, I can still breathe through this experience, right? That I can still, whatever energy comes my way, as Gloria was sharing, that I have the resources to be able to take it on and to allow it to move through me, right? And so I have healing that I've been working through in terms of things with, they call them daddy issues or whatever it might be, that I have certain triggers that'll happen, whether I'm working with the kids at my job or being inside of these circles. There's certain things that being in human relationships, things are triggering, right? They remind you of stuff from the past, and those triggers, for me, they can blind me to whatever's in the moment, that I'm not being present because I'm so afraid of repeating whatever happened to me again. But being healed for me is saying, one, healing is a constant process. But two, it's about having the tools and the wellness or spiritual technology to say that whatever's happening right now, I can be fully present in the moment and I can receive it. If it's painful, I can receive it. If it's exciting, I can receive it. I can even reframe it and allow it to be something I receive with gratitude, as something that's going to grow me no matter what it is. Because I have the resources that make me bigger than this moment. Mm-hmm. Or not even the resources making me bigger. The resources help me to come to the realization that I am bigger than this moment. Mm-hmm. If I can stay in that realization and that awareness, then there's no moment that can't pass through me. There's no moment that I can't have gratitude for. There's no moment that I can't meet and say that this is going to help me to become better. This is here for my good, right? And that's what I feel like healing is, that every experience is here to make me stronger, or to expand the awareness that I have, that there's nothing that I can experience that doesn't contribute to me going further.
And how can people find out more information about you and your next event?
Yes, so we have an Instagram at Heal Your Love, period. All of that spelled out. Yeah. We have a calendar on the Instagram with all of the things going on for that month. We also have a website, healyourloveperiod.com, where we have updates about what we're doing and what events we got going on. And what else do we got?
Apparently they say the advertisements are everywhere, so if you just stay on IG long enough.
Listen, no, you guys are doing your thing. Because remember we had lunch 2 weeks ago, and I was like sitting with a celebrity. They was like, that's them. And pushing me out the way to take photos of you guys. Listen, thank you so much for joining us at the Trenton Journal Capital Conversations. Yeah. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and on Facebook as well. And subscribe to our weekly newsletter at trentonjournal.com. Until next time, I'm Kenneth Miles. Thank you.